En ek gaan nou sommer live op Facebook. Good afternoon, everyone. Johan, Yvonne, Volna, and a lot of the people that's following me on Facebook. This is our Motivational Monday, and what we're going to talk about today is how to brand yourself as a real estate agent to become the best agent of self. The question I'd like to find out by any of you, have you ever branded yourself? I know each of us works for a corporate company, but have you ever thought of branding yourself as the individual, as an agent? Have you thought of that, Yvonne?
Sorry, can you just repeat? I'm sorry.
Have you ever thought of branding yourself as a real estate agent instead of just branding the company?
Well, I think that is very important that you brand yourself, because you are you. And I think what you bring to a real estate company is is you as a unique human being interacting in certain situations, and bringing your own qualities and capabilities and your own wisdom to the table. So I think that's very important, because what you also bring to the public is not necessarily your role only as the real estate individual who you are, but also other parts of your life that play a role in everything that you do. That's what I think.
9%. You see, because what you touched on is, I call it the USP, your unique selling propositions that you offer back to your marketplace. So the first thing what a lot of us as real estate agents do is we out there to close a deal as quick as possible, but we're not there to brand yourselves as agents in the unique way of being that individual. So as I said, when you brand yourself, we need to brand yourself and something else. And I mentioned this before. What is that and? So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a real estate agent and a financial literacy coach by helping people being over indebted. So what is your and that can add into your real estate business? So if you understand what your and is, that's how you can start creating that unique selling point by helping people, because sometimes it brings back to your strengths and as well as your weaknesses. So if you understand what your strength is, that helps you with your negotiating skills. Like for instance, Vilna might be a personal coach, so she can use the coaching platform where, Yvonne, you come from the psychologically side or psychologist side. So that can also be a brand by helping other people while filtering through, because if you work in that market of the professionals, it also becomes a unique selling, because professional speaks to professionals. Government employees speaks to government employees. Developers speaks to developers. Is how you break into that marketplace, because people buy from people, and this is what's important by understanding your unique selling position or proposition that you put forward. Any questions on that?
Ron, I think it's very important to sell yourself, because in the long run, we're all working for ourselves. But even personally, you must sell yourself as well, and sell your talents. And I mean, I wish you guys could see what's written on the back of this T-shirt. My name is huge in letters there. My surname is there. My telephone number and my email address there. So once they see the front, they see EXP Realty, and then the back, they see my details. So, that is branding as personal or the professional wise. But I think you're definitely right when saying you have to go personally as well. And yeah, sometimes that's a difficult thing to do because you have to first find your talent and then basically market that as well.
You're correct. But what I'm saying to you is, I think everybody has got some form of talent. And like for instance, with your brand needs to come your own slogan, not just the company slogan, but what is your slogan? So like for instance, I've created my slogan because I've got my real estate business and my brand. My real estate business and my financial literacy. So how do I combine my slogan? And it says, I'm the best real estate agent at flipping declined into approved and for sale into a sold with unstoppable results. So I've created one brand, one slogan of helping over-indebted people, getting them pre-approved, qualify them for a bond, and showing the people I've got a cash and bond buyer to work with, and I've got 2 deals coming through. So it's just not just on the deals of the properties, but also is how do I create that opportunity of creating the run that people wants to go to. Does that make sense? Can you hear me?
I agree with you, Ron, what you said
Yeah.
from my side. Yeah.
So at the end of the day is how do you create that opportunity to make your business work by branding yourself? And that's where I see the opportunity lies in all of us to create your own brand. Because when a person wants to speak to Yvonne, so think about it, when you were younger and you had your own practice, you knew what your practice was about. People came to you. When you went into the factories, people knew who you were. Or if you went into, doesn't matter what you're doing. If you say, for instance, you're a mechanic, people knew that you were in cars. It doesn't mean that the real estate was, you always may be involved in real estate, but you also might be involved in cars. But now you combine the two because you've got the V8 club or you've got the Harley Davidson club. That becomes a unique point of sale because people start building trust in you. I don't know if that makes sense. The other part is, how active are you of branding yourself through social media?
Yeah, Ron, I think that one is quite a difficult in a sense because you're not always sure what your target audience is going to think about that. Yeah, it's not so easy as we thought. We always thought, no, it's easy to do it. It's not that easy.
Jon, the reason I'm going to disagree with you, because what we're basically doing is we're trying to sell the property to get the deal done. Okay, because nobody's going to look at your deal. Because what is social? Social is walking with your dog on the beach because that's what everybody wants to see. Hey, Jon, what type of dog have you got? Or the person doing kite surfing. Hey, I loved your jump that you done in the waves. Because nobody's interested in purchasing from you on social media. But it's a unique tool to understand what people's pain is. So if you walk on the dog, you're walking on the beach with your dog and say, I've found this fantastic property with the sea views. Just imagine sipping a glass of wine, watching the kite surfers, and, with the sunset, whatever you want to say. All of a sudden, you're creating the interest without telling them where the property is, because you're creating a hook for people to invest in. The other problem is what we've got with branding ourselves. We're not solving people's problems. So if you start figuring out how to solve people's problems, it's quite simple. And how do you do that? Is, for instance, let's say, for instance, the interest rates has dropped down. I'm just using this as an example, 0.25%. The way I would write the post, you know what? If you keep your bond the same, when it was 11.5% in the last 2 years, the last 3 months, it maybe dropped by 2%. You kept the X amount, the interest rate exactly the same without reducing your payment. This is how much money you would have saved on your bond. Instead of paying it over now 20 years, the 2% interest that's dropped, you're going to pay your house over 17 years by keeping your installment the same. What does that do? You're starting to create interest. So when a person starts chatting to you on social media, you start creating interaction by creating a DM with each other on social media that move them through to Messenger. From Messenger, he says, why don't we touch each other on Facebook? Not Facebook, on WhatsApp. Now you're creating an interaction. By creating the interaction, you've created the brand because people wanted to know more. So that's how easy social media is. And one of the key things is what you also need to do is, how many people do you know that you worked with? Doesn't matter if it's in real estate, doesn't matter if in your current business, and you've got testimonials. People love reading our testimonials. And if you put your testimonials up on social media, more people is going to comment. My one social media post where I've helped a person out of debt review to purchase a car, I had over 1,200 views, of which I've generated 3 leads. Can you help me as well? Out of that, one person is now pre-qualified for a bond. And I sold them a property of 2.2 million as a first-time home buyer to qualify for 105% bond. So I used real estate and financial literacy. I used my financial literacy as well, bring them in. So I've generated my skill set to help them to become a homeowner. So at the end of the day is how you leverage yourself as an expert in the field. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, Ron. Just one question I wanted to ask you was, if you, for instance, what is the effect if you want to go on social media and you start writing, let's say, for instance, articles, and you start sharing that as social media? Is that an effective way of branding?
Yeah, so 100%. So let's say, for instance, you want to take a topic, okay? And the topic is going to be a property, and let's say, for instance, let's say, for instance, Bloberg, all right? We're going to use Bloberg as an example. Bloberg is close to the beach. This is what's actually happening in Bloberg. These are the new developments. This is the shortfall of why, if you want to invest in Bloberg, there's not enough schools. So be careful where you're going to invest in Bloberg, because Parklands North is expanding so much. And these are the following criteria that you have to be aware of. Great place to be, but maybe go to Durbanville, look for all this section of Durbanville because of the school scenario and all of this. So you start creating these articles by bringing knowledge to the people. Maybe use certain areas, like for instance, if I was in Hillcrest, I will pull in blue security and I'll show the statistics of the area of the high crime rate and the low crime rate, where I feel it's more convenient to purchase. Because, like for instance, where we stayed in Forest Hills, the crime rate was an average, it was a yellow zone, but if you went around the corner, it was a red zone. Be careful of this. And all of this, it will help you out by creating the newsletters, by understanding people's pain, that they can start figuring out, hey, Johan knows what he's talking about for his specific area. By putting that in, people start taking your information and start speaking to you because you understand your area and your product, and that becomes the self-branding. It's pointless of having a brand of the company, but you're not branding yourself. But as soon as you start branding yourself, you start understanding the area and the statistics of that area, all of this. I mean, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is when I was involved in a shopping center in 1997. I was one of the first ones converting tribal land into a freehold property to raise a bond. So the first thing, I didn't know anything about shopping centers. I just got this opportunity to go in and put a shopping center into the rural area. But it took a 2-year process to get the shopping center off the ground. But there's a couple of things that I learned through this. One of the things I learned is before you put a shopping center in, you have to work through land affairs. You have to work through the tribal authorities. Now, there was a petrol garage. You had to get there with a 4x4. This garage was pumping 450,000 liters a month just by getting there with a 4x4 because of all the potholes and everything. But they wanted to put a box of super trade on there. But the box of super trade had to do investigation through their shopping basket methodology. So how many shopping baskets, or what's the cost of a shopping basket? What does the average person spend? Because that will determine the size of the shopping center. These are the things that you can start bringing into your own real estate business. Because people think, oh, this is a person that understands knowledge, and this is how we can start investing in this guy because he knows what he's talking about. Because remember, most buyers and most sellers don't understand what the wish list is. But if you start creating the wish list for them, that's how you start becoming the brand of that particular person that you want to be of branding yourself. Does that make sense, Yvonne? Vilna?
Yeah, I also
Yes.
I agree with you, Ron. And I just think that the people that deal with you, okay, we talk about their needs or the pain point, but I mean that is where up to that point where their awareness goes. And if you come in as an expert and you actually it's actually you just increase their options for them, whether it may be, sort of guiding them when there is something negative, or then positively influence them when there is something positive. So we are the experts and we need to be aware of that. And we also need to live it, to make it live, to action it through our understanding and also the knowledge that we have, and also then sort of impact on their thinking and make them think wider than what they have been thinking before, maybe. I would say. Sorry, Balna.
No, sorry, Yvonne. No, I agree. I just agreed with what Ron said. For me, it basically comes down to having or building a relationship with your client right from the beginning and maintain the relationship into a long-term relationship.
100%, Wilna, because, you know, and I want to come back to what Johan said. And we all can use this information quite clever using social media. You know, maybe sometimes just do a 1-minute TikTok. Maybe a 5-minute YouTube, whatever it is, or just write a blog on social media, because the first thing that you need to do is you have to educate your audience. And how do you educate your audience? Okay. What is transfer fees? Why do you need to pay transfer fees? I mean, like do your budget saying, okay, it's now 1250 before we pay transfer duty. I'm just using that as an example. This is how much money you can save. You know, I'll use another example. You're an investor. Would you rather buy 3 million rand property or 1 million rand properties where you're going to get the most rental from? Are you going to get on the 3 million or the 1 million rand properties? What is your transfer fees is going to be on the 1 million compared to 3 million? Because you're looking at 3 million, you're going to pay nearly 270,000 rands worth of transfer fees on the 1 million, 1 million, because you've been exempt of the 1 million. How much money have you saved? You nearly saved nearly 200,000 rand. But your rental income is going to be X. That becomes a different ball game, doesn't it? Because the person says 3 million, he might get 25,000 rand or 20,000 rand a month, but he might get 8,000 rand a month on 3 per unit. Now he's getting 24,000. Yes, your rates and your levies might be more, but you've got maybe a better growth rate by understanding, using Property 24, by understanding the statistics of the growth of that area. That helps him out. He ought to be a better investor in that property market. All of a sudden, what have you done? You educated, you told him about the area, and you showed him what is the best option for him, because you're the expert. But at the end of the day, you want people to buy into you, to call you, instead of just finding any dictionary in the real estate business. Second thing is you can write another blog, is the market insights. So I just want to go into Property 24. Just bear with me. I just want to share my screen. Can you see my screen, Yvonne?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, so now you wanna view, let's say, for instance, I want to go view Sandown. I'm just going to click on Sandown. All right. So you'll see on the right-hand side there's more trends and statistics. Okay. So you can pay for the report that gives more of an in-depth report. But if you go in here, now you can see the annual sales of this trend is the red line will show you the asking price and the average sale price. So as you see, the average sale price is exceeding the red line. So Sandown is a good place to purchase. So whenever you want to speak to a client, you can show them this, and this can be part of your blog that you've written of a specific area by using the statistics of Property 24, which is a great way of branding yourself. What do you think about what I just showed you now? So even if I go back and I'm going to put in, I just want to go back a little bit more. and I'm going to go into Parklands. Let's say I look for Parklands East. I'm just going to use Parklands East as an example. Okay. So Parklands East, you'll see the different trends. So now you see the asking price, the average asking price has now come down. The average sales price, so there's a bit of a upcline, and the average sale is nearly a million rand. So now you can look what a 3-bedroom flat will be, 2-bedroom flat, how many properties are sold in that specific area at the end of the day. And you can start using this of creating a blog or a vlog as you want to grow you as a person by identifying people's needs. Would that help you, Johan, if you want to start writing something?
Yeah, that definitely would, Ron. I was just thinking about it. Just as a matter of fact, when you write an article or a blog or vlog, something like that, is it necessary to always mention the sources where you got your information from, or can you hide that specifically?
The reason I will use always my property 24 source, okay, and I've got other sources which I also use, like for instance, I've just done. Okay, let me rephrase it in another way. Today I done a market analysis on Parklands through CMA or Lightstone. This is what I've got in the area. I've taken this street and now I've compared it with my property 24 stats. And this is what it gives me. Then I will use that statistics and say, okay, now I'm going to go into a bit of a deeper dive. There's X amount of developments taking place in the area. So let's do a breakdown quick. There's 66,000 rooftops in Blouberg from Melkbos to Milnerton, right up to Parklands North and down to the beach. 66,000 rooftops. There's nearly 3,000 houses on the market. There's 354 agents, an average of 250 agencies, of which 1/3 of that is developers. We're all fighting over the same stock. Now, what puts you apart from any other agent is now you are going in there by identifying the niche of the market, why you have to look what the developers are doing. They are building a lot of new properties, but they're not looking at the allocation for schools. What is it going to cost you to move from Parklands North, getting a taxi or getting the bus or getting an Uber or driving to take your child to school in Milnerton? The Milnerton school is full of, quota is already full. Where are you going to take your child? Are you making the right choice of purchasing? All of a sudden, you're starting to create this as a doubt, but you might be strong in the Eskom area. And this is how you can start bringing people into your area, what you are comfortable with, that people can trust in you, in what market you want to work. This is the way you can start self-branding yourself. Are you happy with that, John?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you, Ron.
Then the other part is you can create in social media. Let's say, for instance, on Facebook, this person is advertising their a person is advertising their property, or an agent is advertising a property. All right. Let's say, for instance, Piet Pompey's Real Estate, as an example, is advertising a property. I normally go in and comment and tell them how beautiful the property is. I love it. I'm just giving positive comments, not trying to take their clients away. And I'll always end off with a hook. Is there a pool? Or, I love that chair that's standing in the corner. don't you think it will be much better if it stood on the other side of the fireplace, just to cause a bit of a controversy and get other people to comment? People start liking the comment, I add in those comments, they become add as friends, I bring them back into Messenger, bring them back into WhatsApp. So you start creating a workflow. This is how powerful you can play the system without taking people's or taking people's clients, by creating friends, because social media is about friendship and growing friendship. So the way I do my social media is I create knowledge, put quotes up, and then out of every 15th post, I might put a product up. Because people might not, they will look at the product, they might look at it. It's the same as that property that I put up with you and myself on TikTok. We've got 250 views. All I'm going to do is change the shots again and put it again. But at the end of the day, to become that brand, you also have to put money behind your brand, because the algorithm of social media, they want to make money, get you up there and get more viewers to follow you going forward. Any questions on that, on blogs and stuff like that? Wilna, Yvonne?
Ron, I think it's a matter of starting somewhere and you learn as you grow, because everybody is not familiar with social platforms. So you've got to start somewhere, figure it out, and then you can go on to the next platform and spread your information over several platforms, which will reach potential clients or people that's interested.
Well, you're 100% correct, but there's only one thing that people needs to do. If you're going to post once a week, social media is not going to work for you. You have to create consistency. And that's one thing I've learned. If you look at Facebook and you create consistency, the algorithm will pick it up. Being consistent, that's a key. And, it's, even if you just put a quote up, and use a Napoleon Hill quote, laugh without risk, not, what's the other one? Whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve. And I'm just using Napoleon Hill. And you might finish off with a quote like that. Have you ever thought of purchasing a property by getting your dream, putting your dream together? I'm just using that as an example. It's all got to do with your content. You cannot use my content to suit you, because, as I said, you, the brand, you know what you want to do. Because if you look at your followers, I mean, as I spoke a couple of weeks ago on WhatsApp, if you go onto WhatsApp updates and your status, and you just put a quote up every day, you're reaching all your contacts. Have you seen today the latest news? Transfer duty up to free for 1,250,000. Interest rates have dropped down. Just a small quote. Create your own little banner in Canva. You've got your branding in there. All I'm saying to you is just get your name out, because that's who you want to be. And what's important by using that brand is you be getting more referrals. I'll give you another example. Last week, I had a person that phoned me that says, I want to come out of debt review. I said, not a problem. Busy sorting it out. She says, but can you help my friend as well? All of a sudden, that person in your contacts might know another 10 people. They might also know the 10 people. If you start using WhatsApp status, being consistent, you're going to start generating more leads. I had a lady, a bond originator working for a particular company on the South Coast. She asked me, how do I get my name out there? So I created a video on a bond origination, and I said, just post it on your status. In the first day, she had 156 views and 3 applications for bonds, because people forget about the telephone numbers on your cell phone. That's just a way of starting your brand. You know, it's how you become the person, the go-to person at the end of the day. You know, your key to your business is not just selling properties. It's building a relationship that you can that the buyers and the sellers can shop with you, that they can create a referral way and say, listen, I'm happy working with you, and I'm happy working with Vilna. I'm going to use another example. Vilna was working with a client, and because she wasn't ready to sign up the mandate, but Vilna was just consistently speaking to her, are you doing all of this? At the end of the day, she called Vilna and says, why don't you come do the mandate and see if you can sell the property for me? Vilna didn't chase her for the mandate. Vilna was just a person interacting with her, saying, yeah, how are you doing? And it's a nice day today, whatever Vilna has discussed. At the end of the day, the person reached out to Vilna. I had a lady who I felt was looking for a property in Saldanha, which came from my roof. I spoke to her, says the property is sold, but I was in constant dealings with her. She's sitting in Durban. She's just giving me a flat to put on the market for her. She asked me, can I find a property for her in Veldrift, because she's not getting feedback from the agents in Veldrift. So I'm going to look for that property. But it was because of being in communication with her on a regular basis. This is where you become the brand of yourself and not the company, because you want to be the go-to person where people can communicate with. Any questions on that?
Ron, not on that specific topic, but when you write an article or you want to reach out and brand yourself or brand your name, and I'm just thinking about myself in connection with this weekend. Obviously, your emotional status, and I think Yvonne might be able to answer this as well. Your emotional status should obviously be a very positive one about yourself when you want to do that branding, because I think if you're negative and you're feeling down that day, and things are not going well, and you're really not up to it, then your branding will fail. Am I right in saying that?
Johan, it's everything depends how you stand up in the morning. If you're going to stand up on the wrong side of the bed, everything is going to go wrong, because most people's got the mindset, there's 3 things that's going to happen to me, and you're waiting for the 3rd thing to happen. So instead of putting music on, putting headphones on and listening to Tina Turner, I'm simply the best, to get you out of that mindset, to write that positive block, because 5 minutes of negative energy will be an 8-hour day. But if you change your mindset, it'll just create a better opportunity. Sometimes, life throws you lemons, turn it into lemonade. Is how you change your mindset on that specific time. If you're not ready to write it, go for a walk, put your headphones on, and come back and redo it. So here's a couple of things that a person can do just on what we were just speaking about, yeah, on free tools, Yvonne and Vilna. Can you see this? It says Blogger. So if you go into 9 little dots and you scroll down, you'll see there's Blogger. I've just opened it, and you can start creating, because I haven't used this for a while, because I've created my own blog on my own Facebook page. But here's something that you can create. So if I just click on to achieve financial freedom, you can create your own blog newsletters. And when you click on any of these, okay, let's just do the preview quick. You can create your own blog from here, and when you can put all the hyperlinks in here, because it's mine, you can start creating your own little blog going out, your own little branding, all of this for free, with a landing page that can link directly through to your social medias companies as well. So this is just something that you can play around with for free, called Blogger. It's just something simple. You know, it's, you know, so you can take that whole blog, create it once a week, tell him a story, email it, link all your social media buttons on Blogger, click of a button, and we'll post it to all the other platforms. You can create a YouTube video, bring that URL into your blog with a video about your properties that you're advertising. They can click and they can read it, and you can take it from there. I use other different tools which I'm sitting with. Now remember, the reason why I'm mentioning what I've just mentioned, because in that, anybody that's going to read it can click with an autoresponder, so they have to put their name, surname, email address, telephone number in. That will come into your back office. You got the email address, so they accepted that you can spam them or just send up them a newsletter, because now you're branding. Now, if you've got 10 buyers sends it to two of their friends, you've got 20. You do it every month. How big becomes your database? You've got your brand in there, you've got real estate, and all of a sudden you start creating the information you want for people to come through using Blogger. That's just one tool. If you go into Messenger or WhatsApp, you can start creating a chatbot in there. So if you want to create a chatbot, I'm just using this as I'm going a bit, it blows people's minds, but these are the tools that you can use. So I'm going to use Messenger, and I've got a Facebook page, a business page, and I'll say, okay, I've got I'm in the real estate business. What type of property are you looking for? So in my chatbot will say, do you want to rent? Do you want to buy? Do you want to sell? It clicks. When they say, no, I want to sell. It clicks. Okay, then it will ask the next questions. Then those questions will then generate into leads, or vice versa. So you can create all of this for yourself by generating leads while you sleep. You can create, there's another platform called MiniChat. You can go look at MiniChat. You can create, MiniChat is very easy to use. You can create your own chatbot. It's also for free. There is a paid version which makes it more interesting. So what MiniChat can do is you can create your PDF in there, or your newsletters. They can click on the PDF, sign up for the newsletter. They get the newsletter on a regular basis, or your blog, whatever you want to do. You start generating the leads, and Bob's your uncle. You know, all of that is in the palm of your hands. You know, it's what you want to do to become that brand. Because the key, what I've worked out is, if I'm going to say, have you heard of a company called Free Me? Free Me. That was my company on financial literacy. But if I speak about Ron Rees, everybody knows me. So rather use your name as the brand and is trying to use something else. Everybody wants to speak to Ron or Ronnie, whoever. But sometimes they call me Rod. It doesn't matter. The money is exactly the same. So those are the things that I say people needs to be aware of. So we spoke a lot about self-branding, understanding using systems. But to be the successful real estate that you want to be, is how to mine that ID number that people buy into you instead of you trying to sell to them. By having more referrals coming to you, it makes life much easier to sell. You know, I'll use another example. I just done an OTP this morning. I received my OTP this morning. I never seen the buyer nor the seller, okay, in physical, but I've had them on Zoom. What I've done is I've figured out what they need. I put two parties together. The one came out of debt review. They were looking for property. I spoke to the seller, says, do you mind if I send my buyer through to go and see you? They said, yes. Can I work on a percentage? They said, yes. Are you happy to conduct everything over Zoom? They said, yes. It's not a big deal, but at the end of the day, it was a win-win, because the buyer didn't want to work with anybody else, because I've been working with him from 2016. Now that I've got everything sorted out, he trusted me in my skill set, understands what my negotiating skills are, and he was happy. And this is what the key is, that people needs to form trust in you at the end of the day, because you become the brand that people would trust, because he's going to speak to his friends. You know, and that's a bottom line. Anybody like to add something?
Maybe just on the question that Johan had, in terms of how you feel when you go and meet your client. I think that we generally we've got to work on our energy and our energy levels, because that can be, you don't have to say a word, but because you speak through body language, etc. Communication experts say that you communicate 80% through your body language versus talking. So it's really very important that your mind need to be ready for what you're going to attempt, or your goal that you set yourself, and that you take your energy with you. That is very important. And I think there's so many ways in terms of just looking at your mindset, because that will determine to a great extent your relationship, or the possibilities of being able to build a relationship. And even when you enter into a conflict situation, that you feel comfortable with that, or even go into negotiations. So that'll always be the basis that you move from. And nobody knows yourself better than you. So creating that awareness about you and your emotions and understanding that is very important before going into action, like, for instance, doing a viewing or talking to a difficult client or whatever it may be. Yeah, that's about all I could say on that, Johan.
Yvonne, which is great, which will be my topic next week, is how do you work with difficult clients and how do you change your attitude to accommodate people? You know, so today was just purely about branding, while branding yourself. You know, and as I said, is at the end of the day is how do you brand yourself as an individual? How do you brand yourself on social media? How do you use tools? Because Property 24 and private property is not the tools that people are going to find you at the end of the day. They're finding brick and mortar, but they want to know more about the property. They want to know more about you as an agent. You know, if I come back to what I said earlier, there's 66,000 rooftops in Bloberg, 450 agents. So which means only 2 to 3% of the agents is generating the most business. But each agent could have 1 or 2 mandates. But why aren't they getting it? Because they're trying to sell, seeing as a quick fix, making quick money, but they don't understand how to become the brand, to brand themselves, to be that agent they want to be. So, Jan, what's your last thoughts? We're on top of the hour.
Ron, yeah, I think my last thoughts is, be confident about yourself. I heard a song during the weekend that somebody wrote here in South Africa, and it quite triggered me. And it said, the words were, I fell in love with myself. Which is true. You must love yourself. You must have confidence to go out there and, just even if you've had a rough day, just pick yourself up and just go out there and use your experiences in the past also to teach others and to help them understand what we're all about and what you yourself is all about.
Yvonne, your last thought?
Yeah, I think what we're talking about, if we talk real estate or any business, it's relationship based. It's relational. And if you only talk to me when you want to sell me something, surely you're gonna lose you're gonna lose me. So it's really that you show that you care and that you understand and that you're willing to work on the relationship also. Yeah, so it's relational more than anything else. And you need to be an expert.
Wilna, do you want to add something?
Sorry, Ron. Sorry. I'm working from my phone again. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. That was a very insightful session that we had. And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's session, because that should be quite an interesting one to discuss and unravel.
Yeah. So thanks, Wilna. Thanks, Yvonne, Johan. And I just want to say and finish with this: your brand is your foundation of your success. Build it with consistency, grow it with trust, and scale it with value. Be awesome, be great, and we'll chat again.